Greetings, aliens. This is TJ, and you're watching Studio Sessions with Astronoize. Today's video is going to be a little bit of music theory. Not too in-depth. I'm going to try and just make videos, little bite-sized chunks at a time, because music theory can get pretty crazy at times. So today, what I'm going to deliver to you is the different note intervals of major and minor scales. Now there's different types of scales, but these are the two main ones. And I'm just going to go over the notes in each scale, which are relative to your root note, whatever key your song is in. And in these examples in particular, I just went with a C note just to keep it nice and simple. Anyways, let's dive in. So as you can see here, I got a major and minor, and this little comment section right here, it shows you that the major scale is more of a happy sounding scale. Let's take a listen. Right? So it's kind of uplifting, a little more cheerful, just happier. It sounds happier. It's not a very melancholic, sad, dreary sound. And then your minor, alternatively, is a sad, melancholic sound. I particularly prefer minor scales to major most of the time. Sometimes a major scale fits the bill. Most of the time for me, making techno, minor sounds more dark and ominous and just a little more raw and gritty. Let's take a listen to that one. Right? You hear the difference? Let's go. I'll play you again one more time through so you can take a listen to the difference. Both of these, mind you, are in a C scale. One's just C major and C minor. Let's take one more listen. Happy and sad. Like Count Dracula is playing the piano or something. Anyways, let's take a look at the notes in each scale here. So, here we are. Excuse me. Here we are in the piano roll. And I just want to really quickly talk about note intervals in a scale. Interval just means the spaces in between each note in a scale, right? So, and we're in, major scale, right? So the intervals for each note go as such. Starting on the C note, we go up a whole step, meaning, see how we go 1, 2, semitones, that is. We skip a note basically, and then it goes on the next one. That is called a whole step interval. So we go whole step, half step, which is only one semitone up. See how it's literally the next note up? There's no note in between. So we go whole, half step, whole step, half step, and that's it right there. So we're back on the C note again. You see that? And that's 8 notes in the scale, C to C. So that's just a little bit of theory behind the intervals of what makes a major scale sound major. Again, let's take one more listen. So there you have it, a major scale. And just for demonstration purposes, the relationship between these intervals is the same no matter what root note you go for, what key your song is in. So right now we're in C major. So let's change that to C sharp major. Let's play that. Right? Nothing sounded off. The intervals are the same. Whole, half, whole, half. right? And I can do that. Let's just do random. There we go. What is that? C, D, E, F. I'm bad about recognizing notes quickly. So we're in F. This is technically F major. Let's play that one. Right? So see how I didn't have to change any of these notes, no matter which root note I wanted to start my scale, the key in. So F sharp major has the same intervals in between each key, each note actually, in the scale as C major. I don't have to adjust these. These intervals stay the same. And if you want to write this down, I actually wrote it on my keyboard just for ease of access, and I can quickly glance down and say, okay, I'm in a major scale. The intervals go whole, half, whole, half, right? It's just a quick way to gauge. I write it down somewhere. I'll try to, I guess, write it up on the screen somewhere if I can figure out how to do that in Adobe. Anyways, moving on. Let's go check out the minor scale now, which is the sad one, the Count Dracula. Ha ha ha. One more listen. I love the way that one sounds. Guess maybe I'm just a melancholic kind of guy. Anyways, so the intervals in a minor scale go as such. And remember, whole step is skipping a note. Half step is just one note above. So we're going whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole. You got that? Screenshot this, do whatever you got to do, write it down, get it in your notebook. I literally Sharpied this on my MIDI keyboard just on the very edge of it. So quickly while I'm playing notes in, I can say, what was that again? What were the intervals? Oh yeah, there it is. Whole, half, whole, half, whole, right? It's just quick, easy access. Get this down somewhere. You need this. And again, once again, we can change the note. Let's go. We're in F, G sharp. Minor is the scale of this right here, right? So G sharp is our root note, and we're in a minor scale. Let's listen to that one. Right? So again, no need to change the intervals for each different note, root note. You leave the intervals the same. You just pick which key you want your song in. And most of the time that depends for me on what the tune of my kick and my bass are, because my style of music, techno, is a little more drum and beat centered, and I honestly just prefer to start off with a drum beat. I love my electron, and I just love making a drum rhythm first, and I kind of see what note my kick is in. I make a bass line based upon that, and then I go from there. And that's when I'll say, okay, my kick is in like a D. I'll make like a D minor bass line. Sometimes it's just one note. Most of the time it's just one note. Let's be real, it's techno. But then my scale, if I wanted a minor scale, would be in D, and this is a D minor scale. So now I know any of these notes in this scale are going to be in key with my song. Now, there are certain notes that don't work so well sequentially back to back, but for the most part, you can pretty much pick any one of these notes and play some sort of pattern, and they will fit well in a D minor scale. For instance, see how each note kind of leads into the next, and it gives some sort of resolution. For instance, that was just random, honestly. Sometimes I'm not the most proficient keyboardist, but I'll just pick around, and I know what notes are in a D minor scale. So I'll take those notes and just kind of play around. I'll fiddle around until I find a progression that sounds pleasing to my ear. One thing I will mention, however, is this third note right here. This is for the minor scale. I don't play much in major, but I believe it is the same. It is, I think, called the mediant. It is some sort of dissonant, meaning kind of strange, kind of different from the rest of the notes in the scale. Even the chord is a bit different when you go to the chords, which will be another video. I'll make a video on that. It looks a bit different than all the other ones. This note is a little, it builds tension. So this one, I would recommend not ending your progression on this note unless you want to leave them hanging. Because this one just, for some reason, builds some sort of tension, some sort of unease, which is great to resolve back to your root note in particular. It always resolves itself like right? Forgive my vocals there. It just feels good to go back to that note after you've hit come back after you've hit this dissonant one. So mind you, the third note in the scale here is a little more dissonant when you're coming up with the pattern. Just remember, don't end on this one most of the time. Use your ear. If it sounds good to leave them hanging, if that's what you're going for, do it. But yeah, now you know the note intervals in between each, like the number of keys in between each note, which is the interval, right? Whole, half, whole, half, whole. This is minor again, and it's in a D, so we're D minor. And then one more time, major is whole, half, whole, half. Right? Write that down. I'm telling you. Get that burnt into your brain somewhere, or just written down like me, because I got so many things on my brain. It's hard to remember them all. Let's do one more listen, just so you really know the difference in between, and you'll be able to soon enough hear songs and say, oh, that's in a major scale, oh, that's in a minor scale, right? Who knows what key? If you can do that, you're awesome. You're an expert. You got good ears. Let's do it. One more listen through. Major, happy. So happy. Minor, sad. Very melancholic, very eerie, tension building. I find minor works very well for darker, more underground techno and stuff. But if you're making more of like an EDM track, or I don't know, don't get me wrong, you can use major for techno as well. I just make most of mine in minor. Sounds good to me, but now you know the difference between the two. Again, write the scale intervals down one final time to get this drilled into your brain. Minor scale intervals: whole, half, whole, half, whole. Major scale intervals: whole, half, whole, half. Cool. So there's a little bite-sized chunk to digest today, the difference between major and minor scales. So go out and use that, apply it, and let me know if this helped you. If you got any more questions of other music theory, recording, anything that has to do with the production process, I would love to help. I love making these videos, sharing my knowledge. And until next time, make some music. Peace.